Let's stay on that camera. Okay, we're sticking on this camera input in the post show. We're going to answer all your questions. Tess, do you have control?
I have control.
All right, Tess has PTZ control. We want to do a quick studio tour. I know it's a little messy, but we now have 5 cameras in our studio. So Tess has given us a little overview. There's our YouTube over here. Here's our main vMix production.
Basically, Paul's giant confidence monitor.
And
there's our main cam. If you look in the top and center of the shot, you will see another camera that we have.
Show them the ceiling camera up there in the corner.
Zooming
we put in a new rack to fit our custom PC.
As you can see, the joysticks can pan and tilt very fast if you're not careful.
There we go. So we've got a camera in the ceiling. That camera is giving us this shot here. And then we've got a couple more cameras on the wall.
I'm
an auto tracking camera. So anyway, we just thought we'd show you guys behind the scenes. Eric, were you going to give us a little behind the scenes of your studio?
Yeah, sure.
Let's take a look.
I'm kind of zoomed and cropped or something.
All right, here, let me unzoom you. Oh, that's because this is the wrong input. That's what it is. Okay, sorry. Here, we have like 5 different versions of you. All right, there you are. There.
All right. So one of the things that I was mentioning earlier was the Darim product, which is this guy on the floor on the wall here. It's a sort of a green spandex over aluminum frame. And then those vertical LED bars are also part of the kit. So they fold down in this tiny little bag, and it really makes for a really great mobile chroma key. And you can see that the quality of the green is really vibrant. And then just to finish out what I was talking about the 4K. So we're shooting here in 4K, and then I was using the reason why I did that is because I was using a crop to sit next to Paul, and then I was using the uncropped version on my virtual set, so I was able to have a full standing shot, and that was the advantage there.
Cool. So we're getting a ton of stuff about everyone using NDI, and that was kind of what I wanted to talk about this week, because we have a really awesome NDI announcement coming out next week. And you know, the more I think about it and the more we start using it, like we're using it right now from our broadcast PC to Tess's PC, we're using NDI to connect it. We were going to use a capture card just so we wouldn't have to mess with it, but it didn't actually work.
Yeah, we were just going to say forget it, but
so we were like, oh, let's just use NDI. So it's just another way where NDI saved the day for us and made it super easy. Nint Eurovan is saying, will PTZOptics have an NDI camera? Wait till next week and all will be told. I can't say yes or no. But that would be pretty cool, wouldn't it?
That would be.
That would be really awesome. I think that 1 week, I think people can wait that long if that's what we're going to announce. So we're using it. You know, I think someone else said they were using NDI. Howard Klein.
What was the one question? Somebody asked if the Blackmagic Studio and what is it? ATEM? Is that the
ATEM switcher?
ATEM.
Is that NDI compatible?
I don't believe so, no. It is not.
It's SDI.
And Gary Cruz was looking for that sports software.
We did give the website for that.
WebCaptioner.com.
Or you can just go to usbroadcast.co and click on Nsport.
That's a good way to do it too. usbroadcast.co.
There you go.
Brian Anderson's working on a curling app that he's saying all scoreboards will be powered via NDI. And that's like the perfect type of thing. Like anything that's computer based that can just get on the network is the perfect thing to be NDI compatible. We're going to see so much more of that. Of course, the camera would be perfect too. Howard Klein's asking for an instructional video on how we use web capturing with vMix, so we'll maybe work on that next week. Get something out for that.
And it was what? Caption.com?
WebCaptioner.
WebCaptioner.com. Who makes the vertical LED bars? Which vertical LED bars?
The ones that Eric...
Go to usbroadcast.co and click on Darim.
Darim. So there's a lot of great stuff over at usbroadcast.co, or you could just email Eric at eric@.
Or you can go to usbroadcast.co and click on PTZOptics.
Yes, they also are distributors for PTZOptics. We can't forget about that. DVE Store is saying that Mimo Live will have NDI soon. Mimo Live has PTZ control for PTZOptics cameras already, and it's really a cool software. They had vMix Call. They had like the calling functionality years before vMix. It's called Mimo Call, I believe. And I'm thinking that's Jason over there at DVE
Howard
Store.
wants to trade up for an NDI PTZOptics camera if there is one.
There might be a very easy way to do that. I don't know. Can't say. But Thomas Hendricks said he used NDI for the first time ever the past weekend to broadcast a local high school sports game using vMix on a separate computer running replay and computer running scoreboard, and it worked great. That's the perfect scenario.
Yeah. Yep. That's the future right there.
Rob,
there's not going to be anything such as video cables in the future.
I know, it's crazy. And the funny thing is, too, if you look at SDI, that was supposed to be something on our agenda, is that the thing about SDI, everyone seems to love it because they knew it worked. But Ethernet's going to give us power for the cameras, control, pan tilt zoom, bidirectional for the cameras, and it's going to give us video. So it's like 3 in 1. Whereas we used to have to run SDI and RS-232. So it's just like consolidate. It's going to be cheaper. Now, is anyone ever going to need a capture card ever again? Do you think? My guess is significantly less amount of them will be needed.
Yeah, thank you, Margaret.
So if you think about N-Sport, for example, the previous way of getting sports graphics into a switcher was via key and fill. You actually needed two of the SDI spigots on your capture card to get graphics in, which is a horrible waste of, say, a 4-input graphics card. You've got 2 inputs left for cameras. NDI frees up 2 of those inputs for traditional SDI cameras. So NDI right there is it's obviating the need. And obviously, if somebody were to come out with an NDI based camera, then what would you need to bring in via SDI? Granted, there's probably going to be legacy cameras for really quite a long time, but I can see it's slowly phasing out. Like how many standard definition, how many S-video connectors do you see these days? These are the kinds of things that are gonna phase out over time.
Wesley had asked, does the audio embed on Ethernet on cameras?
Yes. Oh, over Ethernet, yes. The audio will embed over Ethernet, and now HDMI as well, and USB. So we're working on that. That's been a big thing because even though we're all talking about NDI cameras and Ethernet and all that stuff, still plenty of people today are buying USB models because that's the way they skip the capture card, right? That's the way they were able to save from buying a Magewell frame grabber or PCIe card, because we built cameras that just had USB and you plug it right into your computer. But now we're seeing this new world where the camera's 100 feet away. SDI was really the only way to reliably get the video to them. Now we're talking about doing it all over IP. And even the cameras today, as they are, I was looking in the Streaming Idiots group, Andrew Seabrook had a video showing the latency between SDI and IP using MJPEG, and it's still, almost the same. There's not much latency anymore with just standard RTSP streaming. So we're really getting close to some exciting times where SDI cabling is kind of by the wayside. The captioner is great. It really is working out well. When you said NDI, oh, got it right for me. It said India, but it's working pretty good.
She sells seashells by the seashore in Seychelles. Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Facebook is looking great right now too, and for streaming to both, I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, this is the first time, and I was against it for a long time until I really realized that
19 viewers on Facebook.
Yep, so many people are saying that Facebook's great. I love the captioner with Facebook, and we were maybe thinking about doing the captions just on the Facebook stream, which we definitely could have done. We didn't have enough time.
Yeah. But if there was somebody that was hearing impaired
on YouTube, then they could still like it and use it. Yeah. So, and I think we could have probably put like a dark gray little border around the captions to make them kind of pop out a little more. Steve Bowie mentioned that setting up PTZ cameras using NDI is so much easier than any other approach. All I can say about that is that when I looked at the TriCaster with the latest upgrade, NDI was actually an option for PTZ control. So I don't have any inside information about how that's going to work or what's going on there, but a lot of integrators have been saying, well, why is NDI showing up as a PTZ option in the TriCasters? So Steve, I think, is from New Tech. Maybe he could tell us if he's not allowed to. But
here's a good one. Claudio is new to us. Welcome. Thanks for stopping by. Claudio says, newbie here, setting up a church broadcast system. I capture a PPT, a PowerPoint video feed from a laptop and a PTZ camera to feed it into a computer and broadcast both side by side in a broadcast. Both are connected HDMI over Ethernet. They use XSplit. How would NDI help me?
Ooh, good question. So the cameras are both hooked up over the network already. Or no, one camera is hooked up over the network.
I capture a PowerPoint video feed from the laptop and a PTZ camera feed into a computer and broadcast both side by side. Both are connected HDMI over Ethernet.
HDMI over Ethernet. Okay. So basically, you wouldn't have to buy the HDMI over Ethernet adapters. Does that make sense? So the camera's plugged in HDMI to an HDMI to Ethernet adapter. And Eric's just going, I think maybe one of his kids are crying or something. He's got a son, I know. And then your laptop is plugged HDMI to Ethernet. Those are points of failure, and they cost money, right? HDMI to Ethernet adapters can have latency. They can stop working on you randomly. I mean, they will stop working eventually, and they just cost money. So you would have been able to save money by just plugging the camera directly into the network, and you could have done that anyway, but streaming it directly to, and then so hopefully that makes sense. Does that make sense? Did I do a good job there?
I think so. I was a little distracted by the chat, as always. You guys are always getting me in trouble. Eric's going to get a funny hat, apparently.
Okay.
I don't know if we can answer this question from Charles. He says, hypothetically, how much would an NDI camera cost if we hypothetically,
how much would it cost? Hypothetically, if you were to wait 1 week, would that be enough time? I'm just kidding. I can't talk about that at all. I'm sorry. There's the funny hat. Oh, that didn't help because I have less on 3. Nice hat, Eric.
Did you address Brian's, or did I?
Luck of the Irish. It also
oh my
keys well.
goodness, that is a funny hat. Is it possible to run, for instance, of the captioner for each
Steve's
person?
answering your question. NDI is the default
so,
PTZ
Brian.
connection type in upcoming TriCasters. But previously, by default, it was SDI. When you select the camera input, that's it. You're done. You're already configured for control. Okay, so I think what Steve's doing is giving us a little glimpse of what NDI can do in the future, which would be if the camera was NDI compatible and you connected to it, it would automatically be ready for pan tilt zoom control. There wouldn't be any additional configuration, which is really awesome. That's really sweet.
Yeah, it is.
Wow. Okay. That makes sense. Tess, can you show us how your little setup over there with the Facebook stream?
Sure.
Because this is NDI in one of its most basic forms, in my opinion. Let me see if I can find your camera here. Because who doesn't want to stream to multiple locations, right? So that's Facebook right there, right?
So this is my Facebook chat.
Okay.
And let me pull up vMix.
That's vMix.
Basically, I just have an NDI desktop feed, which is pulling from Paul's computer, and I just have it on my output.
So can you add input and just show us what an NDI source looks like? Just there might be some people who haven't ever seen this before.
So here are my input options of what I can add to my production. I click NDI and simply click NDI up here.
Mic is loose.
What's that?
Paul.
Is your mic loose? Is it unplugged or something?
No.
She's keying up and falling in and out.
Really?
Yeah.
How am I now?
You're fine now.
Okay. So here are my options for NDI inputs, should I say. This is the one I grabbed. You press OK. I already
got it in there, so. But yeah, and that's all she's doing. One single NDI source, allowing us to, because one of the biggest problems was I want to stream to YouTube in 1080 and I want to stream to Facebook in 720, and that was a simple switch. You know, we could have actually.
Kinda
so
funny.
you've also got, this is just one other thing. Tess has a pop out of the YouTube chat there,
so I can
and
get a full screen view of what you guys are saying.
then she's got her full screen
On my
view, so
second
she's trying to
monitor.
keep. Now you have to manage 2 chat rooms, which I
Yeah.
was hoping to finally figure out how to do that. We should have an answer for that soon. But yeah, and then Charles is asking, has anyone used OBS Studio using NDI? Yes, that does work. So actually, Tess, next week, that's the way we should set it up. We used vMix on Tess's computer just because, why not? You've already got it there. It automatically discovers NDI sources, super easy. But I feel like we might as well use OBS because it's free, and that's kind of the use case there. But yeah, I think we gave a pretty good. I kind of like these shows where we're just hanging out and
We had a
not
lot
really-
going on today.
Yeah.
We're just,
And there's a barbecue going on outside too.
yeah, we have there's a little office party going on.
It's a laid back day at the office.
It's just a hangout day for us, and I think that I think there's a captioner going on. So this is kind of
think
like
that
what you're
there's
seeing
captioner. I hope
today.
so.
This is kind of like the core of what we're going to start doing. I think the show was really well produced. I think there's a little audio crackling. We that's like our number one issue, I feel like. But in a perfect show, you can see we've got extra cameras. So it's not just one camera on me and one camera on Tess. We now have 6 different cameras in this room. So we were going to be able to like show more hands-on stuff, show exactly what Tess was able to really quickly show some NDI stuff. And that's kind of where we want to build from. I love the captioner software. I like live streaming to multiple destinations.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to see from us also a lot more and more NDI workflows that we're going to be talking about. How are we using NDI? How are the cameras possibly integrating with NDI? And Kyle, yes, there was another barbecue. Kyle was here last Friday for a barbecue.
We're partiers.
Andres is asking, is PTZOptics holding back delivery on cameras due to next week's announcement? I have ordered 3 cameras, 2 20x and 1 12x. You know, that's a good question that we can't answer, I guess. We've always said that we're working on an NDI camera, so everyone's known that. So, and there's new information coming out. I can't say what it is. But the cameras, depending on how you're planning on using them, are a great value today, right? They're going to get even more value when NDI is integrated to them. They're not going to be the same price. And that's about all I can really say. If you're thinking about waiting, you might. If you're thinking about buying a PTZOptics camera, maybe you should wait a week. If you just bought one, it's a great camera, and
it's a good value.
It's a great value. There's a lot of different ways to use it with NDI.
Eric helping us with our sales.
Even without the direct
That's
NDI integration, you can bring it into vMix, make it NDI. You can RTSP stream it to VLC and make it NDI. We've shown some of these things, and it's going to be one of the number one things we're working about.
And to touch base on some of the stuff in the chat group, NDI Cloud is WebRTC. I mean, what I'm doing is I'm sending NDI is a certain formulation of IP. I'm sending a different formulation of IP over to PTZOptics. So we've already got methods of sending video and routing it easily.
And actually, one of the things, Andres, I can say too is it's not going to be the exact same camera. It will, and again, there's an announcement coming out next week. Well, I'm not saying we have an NDI camera or anything today.
Speaking of announcements, if you're on Facebook, you probably just saw a little person popping up next to me.
Really?
It was a stream. Oh. It was a Stream Geek, and I didn't realize that it was actually going live with it. Oh. But then I realized, I have control on Facebook.
Well, see, that's an interesting thought, Tess. And the other thing I will say to Andres, just really quickly to finish it off, that it's when we do come out with an NDI camera, it's going to be a completely different camera, a different part number, a different price, which is going to be higher than the normal camera. So just, you know what I mean? So we're not
wait until next week.
We're not getting rid of the current cameras.
A lot of new stuff is coming out next week.
So we're not getting rid of the cameras that we have. They're just going to be extra SKUs with extra goodness. But Tess, you're right. That's interesting. For example, here's an example NDI use case. What if, we're live streaming to, I'm basically live streaming to YouTube. You're basically live streaming to Facebook. Mm-hmm. So you could actually just show the Facebook reactions to just the Facebook side.
Mm-hmm. The Facebook side just saw a little teaser.
How funny is that? You could be like, come over here to Facebook with me. I'm like, no,
I could say,
stay on YouTube with me.
Put something mean up about Mike Latta or something.
We'd have competing shows.
He would never know.
Oh.
We could fight for viewers.
Wow.
So what day is the announcement next week?
I think I'm getting a little bit beyond my...
Your pay grade?
Yeah, I don't know if I can say what
sometime
specific
next week.
day. Definitely sometime next week, and I would say it's definitely before our show next Friday. Might be before Tom Sinclair's show on the Streaming Idiots, which I will be on the Streaming Idiots show, so I really hope it is out by then.
You don't tell me anything.
I thought I was going
to paraphrase what Paul's saying, he doesn't know.
Yeah, I may not know that, or I don't know, so... But yeah, no, this is, so much stuff's happening, and if let's say an NDI camera comes out, let's say next week, I don't know. I'm just saying, if it were to happen.
They keep things from us because the fear of what's happening
they
right
don't
now.
tell us everything. And if it's announced, that doesn't mean it's shipping also, by the way. But, just imagine all these things, we've got all these cameras now, Tess, you've got your own little stream going on to Facebook, this stream.
I'm going to start streaming my feed, so each of us can have our own channel, and you'll just bring it all together in one show.
I know.
We'll co-produce. We'll each co-produce our own show, and then we'll kind of all mash it together.
Oh my gosh.
We'd need a referee though. We'd need a fourth person to mix the final version.
On Facebook, Richard is saying that he's using 2 iPhones running NDI cam into Wirecast. Says, I capture the desktop running Proclaim output to projector using new tech tools, scan converter to capture the video, and another to capture the audio from the computer. These are all on the local Ethernet. No physical connections to the laptop used for streaming.
Wow.
Talk about the future.
Yeah. So cool. And people seem to love that. I think Jason from the DVE store is saying it's against Facebook's streaming agreement to simultaneously stream to another location.
What did Luria say?
Technically, from what I've heard,
using
from
their
most
API.
Of the people, if you're using their API, if you use the custom URL, it seems to be fine. It's one of those things where it's everyone's doing it and no one's getting in trouble. So
we'll see if they show up at our doors. If they do, I'm saying
I think there
call.
might be a way around this. If Tess is somehow altering the stream and making it unique,
which it
it's
is
a
now that
different
I
stream.
accidentally put up Stream Geeks thing.
It's a different stream. It's a different bit rate. It's a different resolution.
It is.
Tess is going to add a little like something onto it. Add like
some sort of.
You could just be like a little firework and that's it.
I already did something different on there.
So it's already it's a unique. It's already its own unique stream to Facebook. It's one of those things. I was so scared about it. I was like, YouTube's great, 1080p, 30. It's working great for us. I don't want to mess it up. I don't even want to be on Facebook. And then we did the streaming awards last week. Like 15,000 people were immediately, I don't know what they call that, reached, and 2.2 thousand watched. And 46,000 people shared.
46 people shared.
46 people shared. 46 people.
46,000. That would be really something.
And then over like the weekend, we ended up getting another 5,000 views. So like that never happens on YouTube.
Now I have to say sometimes they're not quality views because they count a 3-second view as a view.
So.
But still.
I made Tess stream on Facebook. It's all my fault.
Tess. Paul made me stream to Facebook. Paul thought, yes. If Facebook police come after me, I'm saying call the boss because I just do what I'm told.
And I should know because I'm the chief streaming officer. I have to take responsibility for all streaming.
We have to get him like a Native American hat.
Now, Eric, let me ask you this. So the captions below, is that what you would see on television, or would they be kind of grayed out or something? That's pretty much what you would see, right?
There's a lot of variety in terms of how people interpret captions. This is perfectly adequate. I don't know what. I think technically, in order for it to pass the standard, it needs to be embedded though as the signal.
Yes, that's a good point.
But this is. There's the hard part is getting what you guys got done. It's probably not a big stretch in order to get data out of that because this is probably data going to your browser and being rendered. So the real question is what was the name of the website again?
WebCaptioner.com. So
WebCaptioner.com may be sending data, probably like RESTful API or XML to your browser, which it's then rendering. So turning that into vertical blanking interval information or whatever the equivalent is in streaming is probably not a big stretch.
Now, somehow vMix would have to, or Wirecast or the TriCaster would have to somehow take that data and encode it. Because this is bringing me back to a conversation I had. I do actually feel somewhat intelligent on the streaming industry because I've had so many guests, and every time I pick up a teeny bit. But there's like 3 channels of RTSP, right? There's like one for video, one for audio, and then one for data, right? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah. So and you could even go a step further. There are encoders out there that specifically deal with that. And what you do is it would probably be more likely to connect to an encoder that specializes in that because it's a standard and a requirement now. So you would feed your Facebook, your vMix output into that encoder and your metadata. You could probably at some point vMix will tackle the captioning issue, and they could probably interface with this as well.
I could see them just building it right in. But
yeah.
So does Facebook and YouTube accept that data?
YouTube does.
Interesting.
I don't know about Facebook. I would assume since it's a requirement, though, the answer would probably be yes. I mean, it's like legally mandated, or it's in the process.
Interesting. Very interesting, all these things coming together. Yeah, because like I would love to have the captions just, like I don't want them to necessarily be there if people don't want them. Like just a button and that's just click.
Yep, turning it on and off. So I personally like the functionality because I have you guys muted, so I can just read what you're saying.
Yeah, that's a good point too for our guests. If we only had that this past Friday for the streaming awards.
I know. especially on Facebook. Like I could definitely see it being built into Facebook. I could also see like a little bit of a grayish background just to make it pop off of the background a little. So there's some little things here and there. I think you're going to see the show evolve each week. We want to get out of the studio more too. Is one of my other goals. Is like get out of the studio, get some footage of something XYZ, bring the footage.
And that's where Hollyland comes in.
Yes,
we'll do
that was
a wireless back to your studio. You can run around. PTZOptics HQ.
That was one of the things. Yeah, Eric is going to come on the show probably in about 4 or 5 episodes in a month or so. Where he has a Hollyland wireless HDMI.
Does he come here?
And well, no, I don't think he'll come here. I don't want him coming here.
That'd be too much trouble. This works great. I love the internet. But yeah, it's a wireless PTZ controller. So it sends serial data wirelessly over up to 300 feet away. So that'll be really cool. With HDMI, so video and serial control wirelessly. So we're really excited about that because there's nothing that quite goes that far.
Yeah, and we were gonna make a show just about that, but I think we actually did a much better job focusing on NDI and just a bunch of off the shelf topics like the WebCaptioner and stuff like that. I think we covered a lot of important stuff, and it's almost 2 o'clock, so we're probably gonna end the show. What was the tally on Facebook? I'm just interested.
Right now we have 14. The most I saw was 18 at one time. I have to end the stream.
So that's totally worth it.
Oh no, 165 views.
That's totally worth it. I know. I think most of our audience has grown to like YouTube. It's familiar.
That's where our community is, and that's why we use it. And also you can stream 1080. But
I mean, there's 48 watching YouTube right now, and we're at the end of the stream. So that's pretty good as well. That's a third of your YouTube total. I mean, Facebook total.
Thank you all for watching our show today. If you're new to us and haven't joined our Facebook user group, head over to facebook.com/groups/PTZOptics Pals. We're labeled PTZ Optics Pals. We'd love to have you come hang out with us. We want to get to know you.
PTZ Optics Towels is what the WebCaptioner is saying.
Oh, darn it. PALS.
I think it also adds something to make fun of because it keeps on saying, doing slightly off
it does
things.
some funny things too, the captioner.
All right. Thank you, everybody. We really appreciate it. It did a great job. And Kurt Grimes, the developer, I have to give you a ton of credit there. Thank you for watching, everybody. Thank you, Kenny. Thank you, Dave, Mike, Jason.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Tess.
Andreas. Steve Bowie even showed up. Our new tech buddy.
Thank you, Steve Bowie.
Chad Lafarge.
Thank you, Jason Jenkins.
Chad Lafarge has a check next to his name.
Dad.
And, of course, Howard Jones was at the office last week. Howard is here.
And Kyle.
Thank you, Howard. And Kyle. Kenny Lee let us know that our audio is crackling, which is true. Charles Kerr I've worked with. Joe Husson popped in. Kenny's already part of the Facebook group. We'll let him in. All right. Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching. Take care.
Bye.